Just take a minute. Look around you. There's history being made. Has been. Will be. How can there not? Just something about those blue skies, high banks, and high speed, all coming together in one perfect race. And it'll be here sooner than you think.
Roll Tide, and welcome to this Thursday edition of Crimson Drive, driven by NASCAR. Happy New Year! Crimson Drive is back after taking the last 2 weeks off for the holidays, but we're glad to be back with you as we start to wrap up football, look ahead to all the basketball and everything that's coming up over the next few weeks here in Tuscaloosa. As we start our show, we'll go through our headlines first and foremost. There's a thanks to our friends at RJ Young. They're the official technology solutions provider of Crimson Drive. First of all, coming up on the show today, we'll take a look back at the Ole Miss victory in men's basketball with our Courtside Cam highlights, as we had a lot of fun at Coleman Coliseum in the win on Tuesday night. Then we'll hear from Alabama players and Coach Saban with the NFL draft announcements that were held earlier this week here in Tuscaloosa. We'll chat about Crimson Tide women's basketball with head coach Kristy Curry, and then we'll have a conversation about both football and basketball with CTSN broadcaster Chris Stewart coming up to round out our show today. We'll continue going through our headlines, again presented by RJ Young, and first we will start with football. Last Saturday in the Sugar Bowl down in New Orleans, picked up the victory 45-20 against Kansas State. Trailed earlier in that contest at 10-0, but then 5 touchdown passes for Bryce Young, helping Alabama to the win, and he is the Sugar Bowl MVP. And coming up, we'll hear from Bryce Young as he made an announcement about his future. We'll also hear from Will Anderson Jr. and Jahmyr Gibbs, as well as other players will also be making their way to the National Football League. But a good way to close out the football season with the victory in the Sugar Bowl. Take a look at men's basketball for Alabama. The 2-0 start in SEC play for the Crimson Tide, playing both of the Mississippi schools last week in Starkville against Mississippi State, and then on Tuesday a 22-point win against Ole Miss. Brandon Miller, prior to that, was named the SEC Freshman of the Week for a third time this season. Then he led Alabama with 17 points against Ole Miss. So the Crimson Tide, highest-ranked team in the nation from the SEC right now at number 7, 12-2 on the year, 2-0 in SEC play. Now taking on the preseason pick to win the SEC, Kentucky. A noon matchup. Our coverage on the radio will start at 11 o'clock against the Wildcats. Then women's basketball. The Crimson Tide suffered its first loss in conference play and its first loss in 11 games when Alabama fell at Tennessee on Sunday, 89-76. And now the Crimson Tide return home to face the Missouri Tigers, a team that's off to a 2-0 start. This is a really critical early season test for Kristy Curry and the Crimson Tide. A 6 p.m. start time against Mizzou. And then next Sunday, the Crimson Tide will be at Auburn at 4 o'clock. Alabama's had a lot of success recently against the Tigers. Hope to keep that going down on the Plains coming up on Sunday. But this past week, we had a lot of fun here across the Crimson Tide Sports Network with a Sugar Bowl victory for the Crimson Tide in football, and then followed it up with a men's basketball win against Ole Miss. And we had the Courtside Cam live on our CTSN social media outlets. Let's take a look back at the highlights with Chris Stewart and Brian Passing from the Courtside Cam.
The tap is controlled in the backcourt by the Crimson Tide. Quinterly to Clowney, top of the arc, 3, bottom. That looked good.
Nice high pick and roll. Javon Quinterly finding Noah Clowney, who was one of the first players out at Coleman Coliseum working on his three-point shot. Looks like it has paid off here early.
Quinterly back to Gurley. He'll drive right. He'll spin left. He'll stop. He'll shoot the ball away. It'll roll around and drop home. He's gotten 2 to go that have been pretty well defended. Dom with 14 on the shot clock. Gives it off to Griffin again. Steps into a 3, bottom. Now Sears with it for Alabama here in this opening half. To Gurley left of the circle. He'll catch and fire and knocks it down. And boy, he looks locked in, especially offensively for Alabama. Hits the rim, no good. Rebounded by Pringle, high above everybody else, and he gets fouled. That'll be whistled, I believe, on Burns.
My goodness, Nick Pringle just kept on rising for that rebound.
Lob toward Pringle. I don't know how he got it to go, but he did. The pass from Bradley, and Pringle just flipped it towards the bucket as he got fouled. A chance for the and one. Rebounded by Sears. Mark works under the rim, circles through traffic, gets it out onto the far wing. Being defended by Malik Ewan. He'll shoot a 3 in his face and knock it down. Quinterly on the drive. Bediako the flush. Nice strip by Griffin, picked up by Miller. Brandon, great pass ahead to Griffin. Back to Brandon, and that's how it should have finished. Because Miller started it all, and Bama leads it 39-23.
Great job defensively by Brandon Miller. Getting on the floor for the loose ball. Bama out and running. Defense leading to offense in the throwdown.
Been doing it a long time. There have been many prettier sequences than that one right there by the Tide. Bama comes the other way. We got numbers, or we had them. Brandon steps through. Reverse layup of beauty.
What a play by Brandon Miller.
Brandon working down the lane. Brandon had it knocked away. Gives it off. JQ, 3-ball bottom. 21-point Bama lead. The bank first three. Here's Brandon the other way. Stepping back. 3-ball bottom. Brandon Miller with it. Driving right side. Spinning away from trouble. Left-handed pass. JQ steps into a 3 bottom. Miller lets it fly. Nailed it. Mid-court 3 with the shot clock expiring. Nate Oates says we're not shooting anymore. Ball game will end and Alabama wins it. 84-62 the final.
Crimson Drive is driven by NASCAR, and the NASCAR regular season will kick off with a Daytona 500 in a few weeks on February 19th. Be there and experience the energy, the excitement, and power as drivers battle it out in the 65th running of the Great American Race. Don't miss out on the event of a lifetime. Purchase your tickets today at Daytona500.com. Daytona 500 coming up again to start the NASCAR season. The football season is complete. Also, in a few weeks, we will see the NFL draft coming up. And earlier this week, we heard from 3 Alabama players who have made decisions about their future and whether or not they will stay in college or go to the NFL draft. Head coach Nick Saban also held a press conference speaking with these 3 young men. Now you get to see them and their decisions coming up here in a special edition of Coach's Checklist with some NFL draft announcements.
Well, I want to thank everybody for being here today. Wish everybody a happy new year. You know, I'm really proud to be standing up here with these 3 young men to share with you, their decisions about, their future as football players. But I also want to say a few words about, these guys. I'm very proud of the way these guys have represented the program, not only the way they played on the field, but the kind of, character as people, the academic success that they have. Both Will and Bryce has graduated, and Jameer is on track to graduate. These guys showed tremendous leadership and character to make a decision to play in the Sugar Bowl, which I think impacted the entire team with the example that they set and how they cared about their teammates. One being the most inspirational player, one being the most valuable player, and all 3 being great contributors, to the team all year. These guys have made significant accomplishments to the program. Will and Bryce have been a part of a national championship team, 2 SEC championship teams, and have contributed in a very positive way to a whole lot of wins here. And extending, the 10-win seasons for us to 15 years. But these guys have been great ambassadors for the program, but they've also been great ambassadors for the sport. And I think the example that they set can be something that can have a tremendous impact and effect on young people, coming up in sports, to make good choices and decisions about what they do for their team, and how they represent their team, in a first-class way. So all 3 of these guys have, sort of top-round grades. So we're excited about their opportunities and their future that they can have, at the next level. And each one of them will come up here and speak. Now, just so we make it clear, there may be other guys who make choices and decisions in the near future about what they do, and when those things come out, we'll certainly make you aware of them as soon as possible.
First, I just want to give a huge shout out to the University of Alabama. These past 3 years have been the best years of my life. They've taken great care of me and my family. To Coach Saban, thank you so much for believing in me and giving me this opportunity. I was just a freshman, and he was on my butt every day at practice. To my coaches, my position coaches, Coach Sal, Coach Hustler, thank you for coaching me up, showing me a lot of love, showing my people a lot of love, getting me to this point. And to all my teammates, I thank y'all so much for believing in me, trusting in me, giving me confidence to be able to go out there and do my job and help you guys out, and just being able to respond to me as a good leader and all those good things. But I also have to shout out my family. They've been my backbone during this whole time. My mom, my dad, all my sisters, my aunties, my grandma, my granddad. I love you guys so much. Thank you for all the love and support, the good times, the bad times, the hard times. You guys stood by my side, waking up at 3 a.m. crying in the morning. Y'all was always there for me. I appreciate you guys. I have to give all of the glory to God. Thank you to Josh, Alex, Sid, EP, all the staff that work here. It speaks volume to the people that's here, because not only did they take care of me, but they really took care of my family. And if you know me, I'm really big on family. And for them to open us with welcome arms and help us like that and love on us, it means the absolute world to me. To all the media guys, thank you guys for being so respectful all the time, every time I was up here. Thank you guys for treating my family with respect every time you seen them somewhere out in public. You guys are very appreciated. I just want to thank the University of Alabama again. Y'all will always hold a special place in my heart. And with that being said, I will be declaring for the 2023 draft. Thank you, and Roll Tide.
First of all, I would like to thank Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. Without him, none of this would be possible. I would like to thank my family, my grandma, my aunt, my uncle. I want to thank Coach Saban, Coach G, Bryce, Will for accepting me. Since I've been here, it felt like I've been here for 3 years. They welcomed me with open arms. It's been one of the best years of my life. I'm very appreciative of them. So with that being said, I'll be declaring for the 2003 NFL Draft.
First and foremost, I'd like to thank God. Without him, none of this is possible, and through him I can do all things. I'd like to thank my family, my parents, my mom, my dad, and the rest of my family and everyone who supported me. I'd like to give a huge thanks to Coach Saban for always believing in me and the entire university. And a thank you to all the supporters, all the fans that helped, everyone in the building, my teammates, my brothers through all 3 years here. Everyone that I've been able to play with and be around are the reason that I've been able to do what I have while I've been here. Also to thank everyone, all my coaches, everyone who works here, everyone on the staff, in all facets. This has been, coming here was the best decision of my life. So I'm forever grateful for the University of Alabama and all that, and everyone that's with them. And with that being said, I'll be declaring for the 2023 NFL Draft. Thank you, guys.
Just take a minute. Look around you. There's history being made. Has been, will be. And it'll be here sooner than you think.
Switching gears now to women's basketball. Alabama off to a 1-1 start so far in SEC play. Now tonight, a pivotal SEC showdown with a 2-0 team, the Missouri Tigers. Alabama's had some good success against Mizzou, recently, and now Alabama looks forward to a great week ahead with Missouri tonight and then Auburn on Sunday. And before everything comes up this week, Kristy Curry had a chance to visit with us to catch up on the Alabama women's basketball team, getting ready for Missouri and Auburn. Coach, Happy New Year. It's the start of a new season in SEC play. How's everything going?
Happy New Year. It's going great, Roger. We're excited for the opportunity in SEC play and looking forward to the challenge this week.
Well, for the Crimson Tide in non-conference play, what you always call season one, Alabama went 11-2, closed out on a 9-game winning streak before the victory to start conference play against Georgia. Just what'd you learn about your team in November and December?
Well, I love the fact that we were challenged on the road. It was our toughest road schedule in a long while. I thought our players really responded to some tough environments. And then we had a chance to, really grow as a team, whether it's the bus, the train, the plane, the hotel, the practice facilities on the road. And we put ourselves in more of a road environment. And then, the opportunity to come home and play and defend our home court. We've done a really good job of that. And I just feel like that we've been tested against some really good teams. I think our net, headed into conference play was 14. It's at 20 today. So I think it shows, we were rewarded for playing a really strong schedule. But you have to have success, and we've had some success with that schedule. So we're excited about the opportunity. Like you said, season one was a success, and now we're headed into season two. We feel like all the lessons, the positives that we take away, the lessons that we take away from season one are really going to help us in season two.
We talked in October getting ready for the season about the depth that you had on this team. How has that depth showed up at really critical moments throughout this season?
Well, it really has because, we've had several that have been out, whether it was an ankle, we had a broken finger, we've had a couple things with a couple of our players that have happened. And so therefore we're able to go to our bench, and we continue to go to our bench when we're healthy or if we have something happen from a health issue. So the depth of this team is what I believe can make it special. We're in a situation where depth in this league, and as you go along here in January and February, and you want to be playing your best basketball and be rested and ready to go, we feel like we can show different looks defensively, offensively, and it makes us more difficult to prepare for. And when you can play harder for longer periods of time, that's when I think depth will become a factor for this team, and it'll really help us be really, really special here down the stretch.
Well, it also showed up in the last game at Tennessee when you have two players coming off the bench lead you in scoring, whether it was Megan Abrams with 24 points, Loyal McQueen had a career high 21. Just what do you see from those two young ladies getting the most of their opportunity on Sunday?
Absolutely. We feel like on any given day, we can have so many different players step up, and those two definitely stepped up on the road. It's exciting to watch, and it's exciting brand of basketball to play. We're going to pick you up, and we're going to play more full court defense and more of a transition game offensively than ever before. And I think that just, again, it makes teams that have to prepare for different types on both sides of the ball. It really gives us an advantage. So when we need everyone playing well and everyone stepping up, we're very hard to defend.
And for the Crimson Tide, part of the defense, I know for you, is rebounding. And rebounding was even on the Christmas cake, getting ready for the holiday season. And your team was able to close out the pre-Christmas portion of the schedule with a lot of rebounds. Just what steps forward is your group taking on the rebounding end?
Well, I think it's just continuing to watch and teach from film, not only those times that we need to be better at it, but when we've been really good at it. So I think it's you have a situation where you rebound the ball really well against Georgia, you're plus 10, you dominate the offensive glass, and then the next game, not as much success there. But I think everybody talks about rebounding, but I see it as finishing plays. You've got to finish the defensive possession, and that comes with the rebound, right? So we've just got to have a little more about us to continue to finish plays, and that again will end in improving the board total and everything that you're doing. It's not only just, but it's loose ball rebounds, it's hustle plays, it's all the little things that go into it. The margin for error is very small in this league. It's a game of mistakes, and you got to really be able to defend and finish plays with boards.
We've seen Carly Weathers get off to a really good start in her Alabama career, both offensively, defensively. What are you liking most about her game right now?
Well, it's just her work ethic. She's the one kid that, is always studying the game. She comes in from, she just really was prepared coming out of high school and does a really good job as far as how she's been coached, the way she's challenged herself at the summer level. But the one thing that she does on a consistent basis is always in the gym. I think our day off yesterday, and the ball's bouncing, you look up and it's Carly out there. And we have several kids, that all of them, they really are committed to doing the right thing. But Carly, sometimes young kids come in, but man, she just leads the way with how much work she puts in every single day. And, when you put the work in, good things happen. And so that's what you see from her. She's just relentless with her work ethic.
So Alabama now 2 games into the SEC schedule, and coming up on Thursday night, it's a home matchup against Missouri. What can you tell us about the Tigers and what kind of game you expect against them?
Well, very similar records, both, 13 wins. It's going to be really important that we understand the importance. Again, we just talked about the defense and rebound, and against a Missouri team that executes so well and doesn't make many mistakes and shoots the ball as well as they do, and really do a really good job of understanding their job responsibilities, which I call role. And they understand their roles as good as anybody in this league, and one of the best coach teams across the country. So have to come out and really defend well and do a really good job of finishing plays. And, it's important for us that we find ways to score and get that fourth player in double figures, I feel like.
And I know you're not looking past Missouri on Thursday night, but on Sunday it will be Alabama against Auburn. Obviously, you know what that game means to all of our fans, and you've had a lot of success against the Tigers in recent years. Just what do you tell your team about how special it is to play in that rivalry, especially in this sport where Alabama's done so well?
Yeah, I don't really think you have to say a whole lot. We all know what that means, but they all count the same. And I think that's one thing, is the discipline and the maturity level of understanding that Missouri is first and foremost. And secondly, have a great opportunity to go on the road and get a win. And anytime you play in this league, it's really hard on the road. And we understand that, it's going to be a good opportunity for us on Sunday against a really much, I want to make sure, amazing the difference in transformation in Auburn from this year to last year. Johnny Harris has done an unbelievable job, and It's going to be their alumni day. We're going to have our hands full. But right now our focus is Missouri and getting ready for the opportunity that we're presented this week with them first and foremost.
We're looking forward to a good week. Missouri on Thursday, Auburn on Sunday for Alabama women's basketball. Coach Curry, thank you so much for joining us, previewing these games that we have coming up. We look forward to seeing your team play. Roll Tide.
Roll Tide. Have a great week.
So a big week ahead for Alabama women's basketball. First things first, tonight against Missouri at 6 p.m. Our radio coverage will start at 5:55, and we will have a Courtside Cam available right back here on all of our CTSN social media outlets. So hopefully you can join us for the broadcast as Alabama takes on Missouri in women's basketball. The next men's basketball game will be on Saturday against the Kentucky Wildcats. We look forward to that, as well as the Nate Oates television show, plus look back to some great men's basketball wins and the football season as a whole with Chris Stewart, our broadcaster who finished up the year filling in for Eli Gold on the football broadcast and, of course, has been the longtime voice of Alabama men's basketball. So it's a good time to catch up with Chris and check in on everything that's been happening with Alabama athletics as football season is complete and now more great basketball ahead. As we're going to put a bow on the football season and look ahead to everything that's coming up for Crimson Tide basketball. And you know, Chris, baseball's right around the corner as well. Roll Tide. Happy New Year.
I'm ready. Roll Tide. Yeah, we're about a month and a half at the most from taking to the diamond for the first time with Brad Bohannon's team, and really excited about what that squad will look like this year.
We certainly are as well. But first things first, we got to close out 2022 in New Orleans at the Sugar Bowl. Alabama falls down 10-0, but then after that, we see a dominant performance by Nick Saban's team.
Really did. They were so much fun to watch, and you're right. Falling behind early, you kind of have some concern. All right, is what all the talk had been about really happening? Are they not engaged? Are they not locked in because there's not a championship on the line? We got our answer pretty quick. You know, once that third down completion took place, keeping the drive alive, the first touchdown, it kind of lit the fuse. And I thought the complete turning point was at the end of the first half when Alabama was pinned back in their own 5-yard line deep, and Kansas State burns a timeout, understandably so, after the first down run play, and Bama's able to hit a big play after that or get out of the shadow and go up tempo. And it was really nice to see them turn that from a 14-10 game to 21-10 at the half. You get the ball to start the third quarter, and phenomenal pass from Bryce to Jacory, and Alabama got it 28-10. And I know there's a lot of time left on the clock at that point, but we kind of looked each other in the booth and said, you got a really good feeling about where this is right now, and it only got better from there.
Special win for the Crimson Tide in the Sugar Bowl. And on the broadcast this year, we've all been shuffling roles just a bit as you filled in for Eli. I've kind of been bumped up to the host role that you had before. And then on the sidelines, a lot of different folks have been joining us all throughout the seasons, but a Heisman Trophy winner got to join us this past Saturday in the building he calls home, the Superdome. And that's, of course, Mark Ingram, who did such a wonderful job for us on the sidelines. How much fun was it to interact with him, not only at the coaches show on Thursday, but then during the game on Saturday?
It's great, but like I've shared with you, there's fun in that, and then there's also the good grief, I'm getting old moments when I realize I'm getting to work with these guys, and here he is at the end of his NFL career, and not at the end, but closer to the end than the start. And now here he is, putting the headset on and joining us, and I thought he was terrific on the radio show Thursday night, the bowl preview show that we did with Coach, and really added a lot to that, but also his insight and the interaction for me, Roger, for him to have with JP. That's what I loved with Rashad and what I've enjoyed with Christian and Corey, their interaction is they've done that role on the sidelines, is to hear guys that know each other, that speak the same language, that have been a part of, if not the same locker room, then at least a Nick Saban locker room, and they're able to share their experiences of what's transpiring in the moment, but relate it to things that have occurred with them indirectly with Coach himself. I just think it's phenomenal insight we're able to get from them, and Mark did a really nice job. For a rookie, he wasn't bad. He was a lot of fun, that's for sure.
He really was. That was a fun way to close out this football season as Alabama wins the Sugar Bowl. And then quickly, we kind of change gears to basketball. And Alabama back in action on Tuesday night against Ole Miss. A good performance against the Rebels. And I'm sure you just enjoy getting to see now how this team looks really at full health. Namari Burnett's still out with injury, but now Dom Welch is back in the fold, and Alabama continues to play at a high level.
They do. And it's one of the things that, look, you don't wish injury on anybody, obviously. But because of injury, the fact that you never had more, you didn't have the full 13 or 12, I should say, that are on scholarship available at one time. So you've only had 9, 10, 11 at the most at any point, which has given other guys opportunities. But man, I'm so excited. I was talking about this on a radio interview earlier. People forget Dom Welch was a starter before he got injured after the exhibition win against Southern Illinois, but he was a starter in that exhibition against SIU. He factored prominently in Alabama's plans from the start. Wasn't able to go because of an injury that was suffered in practice, and he's healed from that. And we're getting just a glimpse of what he's going to be for this team. Another veteran who's battle tested, in addition to being highly skilled, can shoot it, and is going to be a great addition. That's, to me, the beauty of this team. They've done some great things. They've earned a top 10 ranking and only the 2 losses to teams that are both in the top 10 right now as well. But I'm telling you, we haven't come close to the ceiling for this team. The best days are still ahead for this Alabama squad, and that's what makes all of us that are tied to it so excited. They're just now starting to figure things out a little bit. When they get it all figured out, it is going to be special to see.
It really will be. Well, our friend Eli Gold had a great line a couple of years ago about Devontae Smith saying, "I'm running out of adjectives and trying to describe what the Heisman Trophy winner is able to do on the football field." Is that getting similar to you with Brandon Miller with what he's doing on the hardwood?
Yeah, the part that I love about him, well, there's a ton to love about him, but he fits in the flow. There are a lot of times you have a player who's an all-star and a guy that's earning the recognition that Brandon's getting nationally, or had the accolades that he did coming in. And sometimes things are forced. They try to make it happen rather than let it happen within the flow of the game for them. He does that, but when the moment arises, he is ready. I think of that sequence at the end of the first half in the game against Ole Miss, where I think he'd made a shot, then he makes the great save defensively, gets a steal, makes a behind-the-back pass, works the ball up the floor to Rylan Griffin, and then hustles to get back into the play himself offensively so Rylan can hit him with the lob as the trailer, and he throws down that dunk, and I believe he got another rebound or scored another bucket before the half ended. I can't remember exactly what it was, but there were 3 or 4 possessions in a row on both ends of the floor where he just kind of took over. And he is capable of doing that, but also just getting his points and doing his job in the flow of the game itself. And then another prime example is late of his ability. I mean, this is where he's a problem solver. You got 2 seconds left on the shot clock. You throw it to your best player and he makes a play. And because of his size and his athleticism, he had to work just to get that shot off, not to mention the fact that he drains it from 40 feet to get you a 3. And that really ended the run. You got to remember that it was a 27-point lead that Ole Miss cuts to 12 with about 5.5 minutes to go. And then, bam, he hits that 3, and it completely diffuses that run for the Rebels. And the game's over. It's a matter of what the margin is going to be. And he's special. I know that's a term I've used many times and a lot of people have, but it's fitting. He is a very special talent.
Speaking of special, it should be a really great atmosphere coming up on Saturday. You have Alabama 2-0 in the SEC, now getting to welcome in the preseason pick to win the league, Kentucky. The Kentucky matchup is always so much fun with all the history between these schools as two winningest programs in SEC basketball, but it should be a great atmosphere coming up on Saturday for a good game.
No, there's no doubt about it. Look, those tickets are bought because coming in to the season early, when you see Kentucky's coming in, those tickets get bought because it's Kentucky. And I mean that respectfully towards the Cats, and I don't mean it disrespectfully towards Alabama, but the fact that it's sold out as quickly as it is, it's because it's Kentucky. And that's why months ago, those tickets were bought by some. Those tickets are going to be used because of who Alabama is. Alabama is one of the top teams in America. Kentucky has some of the top talent, but Alabama is one of the best teams. And they don't have to take a back seat to Kentucky in terms of talent either. So it's going to be fun. It's going to be packed. It'll be electric. Get there early. We're tipping at noon, and you better get in early because it's going to be packed and people are going to have a good time. And I'm very hopeful for another great performance by the Tide and a great outcome.
Well, it's the first week of January, and that means it is the first week that we'll have an episode of the Nate Oates television show. What can you tell our fans about what you and Coach Oates are going to be up to on TV the next few weeks?
Yeah, we'll kind of like our team. We'll throw the ball up and see what happens. We look forward to visiting with him, and it's always fun because he's very candid. You do the radio show with him, he's somewhat unfiltered, but he's very engaging on the show and gives great insight to what his real thoughts are on the team. We'll have highlights of the games, the two Mississippi schools, Ole Miss and Mississippi State. He'll give us a preview of the Kentucky game itself. There'll be some features that Aaron Hepp puts together as the producer that always catch him off guard, and it's always fun to see Coach's reaction to that. But we really enjoy doing that show. Coach is great with his time, but he makes it a lot of fun as well, and look forward to doing that.
Certainly looking forward to it. We'll have more on that coming up here on the network. But Chris, thank you so much for joining us. We'll let you get rested and ready to go for Saturday. Should be a lot of fun. Alabama against Kentucky at Coleman Coliseum. Thanks for joining us. Roll Tide.
Roll Tide, Roger. Thanks.
A lot of fun catching up with Chris Stewart about everything that's coming up for the Crimson Tide. And with that in mind, it's time for our Wickles Weekend Update, brought to you by Wickles Pickles. They are wickedly delicious. We have the okra, we have the pickle chips, always with us on set, and they are tremendously delicious. They're wickedly delicious. You can find out more at WicklesPickles.com. Let's take a look at what's coming ahead on the network this upcoming week. Well, we start with what's coming up later tonight. Alabama women's basketball at home against Missouri. I mentioned the Courtside Cam that we'll have streaming live and, of course, radio coverage all across the network starting at 5:55. Then on Saturday, men's basketball against Kentucky. It'll be an 11 a.m. start time from Stipe Lounge at Coleman Coliseum, and then we'll tip off at noon against the Wildcats. Women's basketball on the road at Auburn at 4 p.m. Don't forget, you can also watch Tide TV this week and the Nate Oates Show coming across this weekend as well for the first time this season. Monday night, we will have Coach Oates join us at Baumhower's Victory Grill in Tuscaloosa with Hey Coach from 6 to 7 p.m. And then Tuesday, the men's basketball team on the road taking on those Arkansas Razorbacks. Tip-off will be set for 6 p.m. and our Crimson Tide Sports Network coverage starting at 5 o'clock across the network. Crimson Drive, driven by NASCAR, and the Daytona 500 is just around the corner. Be there to experience the start of the regular season on February 19th. Purchase your tickets today at Daytona500.com before it's too late. It's going to wrap up this very busy edition of Crimson Drive, driven by NASCAR. Our first one in 2023. We'll have this show coming for you all throughout the rest of the school year, even into the summer, covering the latest news on Alabama athletics. So remember, Thursdays at 2 p.m., join us for Crimson Drive, driven by NASCAR. Thanks to Ethan Carabin, our producer, for putting this show together. Thanks to our guests as well, Kristy Curry, as well as Chris Stewart. We should have Greg Byrne, the director of athletics for the University of Alabama, join us on next week's show, plus some other special guests. So make sure you keep it right here to the Crimson Tide Sports Network and roll Tide across a very busy weekend of Alabama athletics coming up. I'm Roger Hoover. Again, thanks for watching and listening. Roll Tide.